Welcome in, everyone. This is Julie Maxon, the main stamper. It is 8 o'clock on Monday, so that means we are live with our card making class. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to have you along. My shirt says mainly stamping. That is what we do on a Monday night. We mainly do some stamping. And tonight we are creating 3 cards together, and it's going to be splendid. We're using the Splendid Thoughts stamp set. Check this one out, right? There's a lot to this that kind of tricked me a little bit. So I hope that this is going to be new to you as well. And then we've got the Splendid Stems dies. This is the Splendid Stems dies. So it is very open leaf die heavy. And I have some thoughts on that. So, because I always like to share all of my thoughts and ideas with you. So please join me for this great class. We are very ferny. Actually, I used every stamp in that stamp case except for one. There was one stamp that did not make a card today, and we're going to talk about that further along as we get going. I'm going to show you the first of 3 cards. Now these cards are ferny and leafy, but they're not green. I'm not making one green card tonight. I am thinking outside the box. I'm going a little unique, if you will, right? And this is our first card. I'm going to just show you the cards. Quick peeks here. Look how beautiful the Knight of Navy is. A really simple card too. These are really quick and easy. And then I'm going to show you card number 2, and I'm not going to show you card number 3. Now card number 2, I think could be a little Christmassy. It could be a little masculine winter anniversary. But there are options. There's always options when you get these card kits at home. So how do you get card kits at home? You place an order with me this week, and we'll talk about that as I get going too. If you place a $35 order in my online store this week, you're going to get these 3 card kits at home. Now there will be no stamping on there. You have to do your own stamping, whether you have this stamp set or fit something else that you have that may be similar into the card parts and pieces that you're going to get. But it's always awesome. I've had quite a few amazing ladies get these card kits. This is new to me. I've been doing this for a few weeks now, and I am blown away by what you guys create at home when I do the class and then send you the card kits and then you show me your pictures. You're doing such a great job. Make sure you're all saying hi as you jump on. I'd like to know where you guys are all watching from. And without further ado, we're going to hop over to my workspace, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the stamps and dies and a little bit more about that host code. So let me get you over there as we transition over. Here we are. All right, so again, this is the Splendid Day class. And with your $35 order, this week, Monday through Sunday, you get the free card kits. So there's 3 card kits that we're doing tonight. And then with a $50 order, you're getting the card kits and a gift from me. So that will all be included in your kit. You have to use the host code. If it's under 150, I'm asking you to use the host code BPR9P77S this week. So that is my code for the week. And again, we're using the Splendid Day suite. We're using quite a few items from this suite, but not all of them, because I like to change things up a little bit. You can see some amazing and beautiful samples on page 64 and 65 of the July to December mini. This paper is absolutely gorgeous. I just want to point that out right now. And the stamp set, like I said, is very ferny, and there's a lot of dies that go with it that are very open. And they're going to leave just very soft outlines after you use them. So we're going to be taking a really, really awesome look at these as we get going. This stamp set is a red rubber cling stamp set. And it almost looks like 2-step stamping. So that could be a little tricky, and I'm going to show you that as well. And again, I did mount all of them. There's one that didn't quite make the cut today. I'm a little sad. I probably could have put him in there, but he didn't quite make the grade. So we have one that is just not going to be on this card. All right, so we're going to start with our Sending Hugs card kit tonight. This is our very first card. And again, it's very white and Knight of Navy, super pretty. And we're relying quite heavily on designer series paper today. This is the Sun Prince designer paper. This is actually in the annual catalog. And all of these papers in here are this really rich, gorgeous Knight of Navy. And then you've got a lot of gray colors on the back. So there's lots of great blues in here. And I thought that would work really, really well with our card. Now this one is, of course, a little heavy on the layers because I just absolutely love layers. And then we're going to do a little bit of stamping and assembling. and some die cuts. So let's get going on our stamping first. I'm going to bring in just a little scrap to stamp on tonight. And again, this is our card. We are using Night of Navy ink for this one. Move my pieces over here and get myself settled in a little bit. So the first stamp we're going to use is this really big open leaf stamp. And I'm just going to ink this up in my Night of Navy, and I'm going to stamp it just a little bit off this way on my cardstock. I've got to make sure, let me check my image here real quick and make sure I am on screen here. I might need to move up just a little bit here so you can see better. Okay, so here is the first stamped image. Really simple, really easy, right? I do need to wipe this stamp off real quick because I am going to be using it later, and if I forget to do it now, I will probably put Night of Navy ink into something else at the end of the class, and I don't want to do that. All right, so now we're going to take what we assume, and I say assume, is a filler stamp. We think that this might fit. This looks like it should fit, right? You would think this is two-step stamping. It is not two-step stamping. It is actually meant to go off a little bit. It does not line up. So no matter how hard you try, you will not line this up. Now I'm actually going to stamp off once, and then I'm just going to kind of stamp on. And I'm shooting for the middle of my leaves because they don't fit. This is not two-step stamping. It gives you that kind of opaque imagery. It is a distinctive stamp, which is amazing. And there is that. Let me go ahead and clean this stamp up as well. Now, of course, blue is not probably the first thing you think of when you think of ferns, but I do like to do the unusual. I am using the Sending Hugs sentiment stamp next, and I'm just going to ink this up again in my Night of Navy, and I'm going to put this on here. And I love when you can do the sentiment right alongside your main focal point and not have to do separate stamping and adding to the card front, all that good stuff. Again, this one is a really, really quick, easy card, which is so fabulous. You could make these in bulk, really. All right, so now I'm going to just bring in some Night of Navy scraps, and we're going to bring in the die cutting machine, and we're going to do a little die cutting next. So let me bring this in, and we'll get set up here with our paper. All right, so on my Night of Navy, I am looking for a ferny open leaf. So this is my first die that I'm going to use, and we're going to get that on there. And then also this little semicircle, it's kind of like a half bowl shape. So it really is kind of like pottery type thing for your ferns. In the catalog, you're going to see it used kind of as geometric shapes. It is kind of really interesting little die for sure, that you can use it in so many different ways. And it's got some really neat little stitching on it too. So when I pull this off of here, you're going to see a couple of things. You're going to see, first of all, the fern, when it comes up, has no middle leaves. All of the middle leaves get cut away. You can see some of them are here on my plate. So these are in effect kind of tricky to stick down because they're very hard to adhere. You could definitely use adhesive sheets if you wanted to. I feel like whenever there's big open spaces though, I feel like I'm always wasting adhesive sheets. And that kind of annoys me a little bit, not gonna lie. So I always have workarounds for that. And then this is this cute little bowl, which gives you kind of an outline in the middle, and then it's got little dots part way up on each side, which are super, super sweet. So hopefully you can kind of see that. But if not, probably have better images in the catalog. All right, now we're just basically on to assembly. This card is really easy. Again, it's heavy on the layers. I've got everything cut here. I've got all my mats cut. And when you get your card kit at home, you'll have them just like this as well. So all you have to do is assemble, do a little stamping, and you've got a beautiful handmade card. All right, so now this designer paper is going to map beautifully on a piece of Night of Navy. I've got to make sure my card opens the right way. This is a landscape card, not a portrait card. So if you do put a sentiment in the middle, on the inside, make sure you're paying attention to the fact that it is landscape. You probably could get away with making this into a portrait card. Not quite sure if that would fit across there. It would. Actually, it would fit across there. If you really wanted it to be portrait, you could get this to work as a portrait. I do like it here as landscape. I should probably bring that back in so you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to glue these two layers together. So again, heavy on the matting, which makes the card look really awesome. Makes it look like you put a lot of effort into it when you didn't. Now the reason I just flipped that over really quick, if you're paying attention, you're like, why did you just flip that over before I glued it? As I was looking down, I could see kind of a rough edge here from where I cut the paper, and I always like to leave the smooth edges up whenever I can see them. So I flipped that over quick before I glued this next piece on. Now we're going to add our little die cut over top of our stamped images here. So it kind of is adding that third layer. So we've got the dark outline, then we've got the stamped off middle part, and then we're going to put this on. And the reason I like tear and tape so much is it holds these things down and I don't have to glue it. And I'm going to cover over the stem with a little bowl here in just a second. So my tear and tape is going to hold this in place, and that's how this one is on this card too. So all of these are actually loose. They're being held down here by this little bowl that we made. Just going to see how this is going to fit on here real quick. Doing a little dry fit, making sure we're beautiful. Okay, so this guy's just going to go on with a little bit of glue on the back. And I'm going to tuck underneath my leaf here that's on the bottom. And I'm also trying to hide any stamping that's on the bottom from my leaf so that it looks like everything is into the bowl. So it kind of ended right about here. So I made sure that my bowl covered up any little stems that are sticking out, because it would look kind of funny if the bowl was up higher than my stems. It would look like my bowl maybe had a hole in it or something. The stems were growing out the other end. So you can see this is coming along really nicely. We're gonna put some dimensionals on the back of this layer right here before we pop it on our card. So I think 5 is good here. 1 in each corner and then into the middle. So we'll get these off of here. So let me know what you're thinking about my blue card, if you like this one. I feel like this could be a really great card to send to someone if you're like thinking, you know, sending hugs, right? So maybe things aren't going so great and you want to send someone something really nice, let them know you're thinking about them. And this is blue. So if someone's feeling a little blue, maybe you need to send them some hugs. Not quite a sympathy card, but I think that you could turn it into one as well. We're going to go ahead and add a nice little bow with this white crinkle ribbon. I love this ribbon. This ribbon is really soft and easy to use. I'm trying to decide if I want to do bunny ears tonight or up and over and under like I'm tying my shoe. I go back and forth every time I tie bows with different methods of doing so. But that turned out really nicely, so I'm going to call that good. Trim up my ends a little bit. And we're going to put this right here on the bowl here, right like about where the stem that meets the bowl. We're just going to put that little bow right there. And I am looking for a glue dot next to do that. Sometimes I use the tear and tape for that part if the bow is really heavy, like a thick material, but this particular ribbon is just really light, and it also mails really nicely because it's not big and bulky. So here's my little bow on there, which is just so sweet. And we are going to also add on some pearls. This is a very classic blue and white kind of a card. And I just added a couple of pearls here onto my card. And on my sample card, you can see that I added them up here on the bowl because I really wanted them to show up nicely against the blue cardstock. If I put them on, well, now that's not very nice. I've been having some problems with the putty end of my take your pick tool. It's almost like it's like chewing gum stringy. Are you guys seeing this? This is crazy. This is like live, so you never know what's going to happen, right? Yeah, it's like chewing gum. I don't know what's going on with it. All right, we'll try that again, maybe. Will it stick to that? It's sticking to my finger. My pearl's stuck to my finger. Ah, the beauty. Okay, let me see if I can get the putty off my finger. Let me see if I can squeeze a little bit more putty up and out. And will you behave now? There we go. Now we're moving in the right direction. Okay, so my bow is over a little bit. The pearls are probably not going to be quite as noticeable on this card. They're definitely in there. On this card, I kind of tried to recreate exactly what I did. This one, the bow might have been over just a little bit more, but you can see here how quick and easy it was to create this card, and how beautiful is it. I just love these. The blue and white is really nice, and I feel like fall is a really great time also for these darker, deeper colors. So here is the first card, and that was super quick, super easy. So that one is already done. We're already going on to our second card here. I'm just checking messages. I see Lynn and Jess and Roxana. Hi guys, thanks for watching. Love that you love this one. Okay, now we're going to move on to our second card, which I mentioned earlier in my intro, that this one could be a masculine Christmas card. It could be a masculine anniversary card, kind of a wintry anniversary card, but there's a lot that we can do different with this one, and this one's kind of fun too. Now again, this is my fern class with no green whatsoever, so this one's definitely, again, we're pulling in those deep fall, rich winter colors, autumn colors. So we've got an early espresso card base, and we're using vanilla. So I'm not sure if this shows up as vanilla on screen. It's definitely not white. And let me grab a piece of white paper so you can kind of see the difference. So white paper, vanilla paper. So I really like the vanilla with the browns because I think it just kind of blends really nicely. So again, if you get this card kit in the mail this week, you're getting all these, but now these will be all die cut for you, but you're getting all of these are already cut for you, and this is your designer paper. Now on my original card, I used the pine cones, but this card also could be done using the red. So I stayed with the red colors over here just in case you want to change it up and create something with this red pattern. You may be wondering, what paper is this? This is the Painted Christmas. This is Painted Christmas designer paper. So we've got the pine cones, and on the opposite side we've got the red, and it's got some holly berry type colors. These are kind of bolder patterns. There are more pine cone type in here. There's some green ones. So this is all kind of Christmas. This is definitely Christmas themed paper. This one is actually my favorite. I love that one. So you can see that these are Christmas themed papers, and that is the pattern pack that I chose, yet this isn't quite a Christmas card. So I really like that. In case you're not interested in creating Christmas cards, maybe you're all done with Christmas cards or whatever, you decide. You don't have to always, you know, keep making those cards. Now I am going to make the pine cone one. So when you get this at home, this is actually a 4x4 piece of designer paper, so you can turn it. You can decide which way you feel is the best way to be up. And if you really want to use this red pattern side, you could definitely do that too. I'm going to mat both this pine cone paper and this distressed gold paper, which is really pretty. It's also kind of it's a thinner paper. You would look at it and think it's really thick and heavy, but it's not. It's actually kind of designer paper weight, which is great. And I'm going to put these two together and hopefully not be too crooked, because I feel like we're a little bit crooked here. I'm going to squish this around a little bit. So these are all matting up on this very vanilla piece, just like this. And I do have the pine cones on top. Of course, you can always switch it if you want to go opposite. You know, you could put the gold on top, but I really like the gold on the bottom. You just never know, though. People like to do all kinds of things, and I find it very creative. All right, making sure my card opens in the right direction, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on my card base. And already it's super pretty, right? I just love this one so much. All right, we're going to, besides these Splendid fern dies, we're going to be using quite a few of the rectangle stitched dies, because we are pulling out 3 papers: espresso, vanilla, and then this one is gray granite. And I just need to pull out my 3. I have to measure again against my card because they sit on here and then I forget what I'm using. Some of these nest really nicely, and I love that. So if you're ever looking for something, you're like, oh, I need to buy something so I can get a class and I don't know what to buy, I highly recommend dies that are useful, like the rectangles, any of your basic shapes. You are going to have so much value in them that you can use them on any card, just as you see here. They are super useful. So make sure that you are checking what you have at home already and getting those really great basic items, because you're going to find that you're going to be pulling them out over and over again. And if you don't have them, you're going to be sad, because you're going to be thinking, oh, if I had those, I would be using them right now. I love the stitched rectangles and all those basic supplies. I'm actually going to just do the first one here. The biggest one is Early Espresso, so I'm just going to crank this through real quick, and then I'll do the other two separately, just so that it's not so crowded on my machine. Now, if you die cut this really perfectly, you actually can keep a frame, and you can continue to craft with the frame. It's got the stitching on both sides, so it's got the stitching here and it's got the stitching here, and that's like a bonus, because you're not really wasting anything that way. I would cut the paper a little bit bigger if I was going to keep that frame piece, so that you could easily glue it. But think about that when you're working with your papers, if you have these. Okay, I'm just angling my other rectangles in here, just kind of at an angle here, so they don't go in with a flat edge facing front. It just makes it easier on the machine. Get going here. There we go. I busted out that new clear plate not too long ago, and it's been fantastic. Using the warped plates for so long was just starting to really weigh on me. I was like, oh man, I deserve to have a nice, flat, beautiful plate, right? I think we all do. Those little things that make us happy as crafters. Okay, so I've got these guys cut out, and you may be wondering why I cut out this piece before I stamped it. Now, normally I would stamp on this and then cut this out. And you're going to see, this is gold. Actually, we're going to emboss this. I'm going to get really brave with this piece. And of course, if I mess up, I'm going to have to dig through my supplies, grab another piece of gray granite, and see what we can do. Meanwhile, this is going to be really awesome, because we're going to do, on this card right here, besides some embossing, we're going to do some painting. So let's get that stamped so we can get going on that part. I'm looking for stamps and all the things that I'm going to need next. So let me get all these parts and pieces out. So I've got my Versamark, and I've got this great stamp right here. So again, it's going to be an open, kind of an open leaf here as well. So let's get my Emboss Buddy on this very vanilla rectangle. I'll get my powder ready to go. I like to have the powder ready so that as soon as the stamp comes off the paper, I can get it right in the powder so nothing dries out and I get lots of good stick. Okay, so there is my little image, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that down. It's see-through, it's like invisible. Can't even see it yet. There we go. Kind of check it here for stray stragglers. I think we're good. All right, we're going to go ahead and heat emboss this. This is going to be so awesome. I did not grab my little clippy clip, so I'm going to try to not burn my fingers tonight. Okay, it's just starting to go now, so we're going to get that nice gold, shiny, metallic all the way up through. I could put that down for a second and flip the paper. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to go ahead. That's just gorgeous. I love this gold. This is really, I mean, this is like wedding elegant. I love it. We're going to wait before we do the sentiment because we actually have to do some painting on this, and I want to do that and let it dry a little bit. So we'll come back to the rest of the card after. So let me grab, looking for all my supplies. We're going to bring out the Mary Merlot re-inker and a clear block and a water painter. and we are going to paint this. So I only need 1 drop. I mean, you need so little, just like even a half a drop really, like the tiniest little drop. You can barely see that on there, but it's there. All right, and here is our paper. It's a little bendy from the heating. All right, and I'm going to squeeze out a little bit of water from the Ooh, a little bit of water. Wow, that's great. I have a lot of water. And I'm going to use this water, and I'm just going to kind of wet down the top leaves up here. Maybe the first 3. Just kind of wet them down. So these guys are getting wet right here. And in front of me, I can see kind of like the paper is, it's got like a stain on it after you do that. And I'm just going to add in some of this ink. Actually, I might have needed like a full drop of red. This one I might do a little bit darker. So these are the first 3. So I wet down where I want the painter to go. Yeah, I need more re-inker. I thought I only needed a tiny bit. Let's put a little bit more. And again, in the scheme of things, this is a pretty good sized bottle for this little drop here that we're using for this project. But I do kind of want to get some darker spots on here, and I'm going to lift this up. And my camera, I know it takes forever to focus, but you're going to see how it's kind of fuzzing out because the water is just allowing that ink to do so. All right, so as I go down through it, so those are the first 3 leaves. I'm getting water on my brush, and I'm just going to kind of put some water here. Now the water is going to be a little bit pink now, so if you see that it's a little bit pinker down here on the next 3 leaves, it's just because I'm mixing the ink in here. And I just love how like simple and sweet this is. I'm not trying to get the whole entire leaf done. You could certainly do that if you wanted to, but I do like to have some ink in here and then kind of go back with wherever it's darker and just kind of add a darker ink. Now on the bottom too, I'm just going to go ahead and wet down. So as I'm wetting down with this water, it is definitely much pinker as I go because I've mixed in so much water and ink refill already. But that's okay because I want them to get darker. And then I'm just kind of going back in where that little gold center is, and I'm adding just a little bit of the really dark ink that's not quite as saturated with the water, and that kind of gives you a more lots of different tones in there. And that's just how easy it is to create this. So this is the one on my card. You can kind of see it here on the card. And yeah, that's just really awesome. I love playing with the water painter here. Now this was very vanilla. I'm going to clean this up later. I'm not going to worry about that right now. But this was very vanilla cardstock. This isn't waterproof. This isn't water paper. This isn't the shimmery white that you do a lot of watercoloring on. This is just very vanilla. Here's the back of it, so it's going to come through just a little bit. But I'm also not soaking it. I'm not doing a really heavy water wash on it. So I'm just doing a little bit of light coloring with water and ink, so it can handle just that much of it. And we're going to let that dry a little bit. I mean, it is pretty dry, but we're going to look how pretty it is matted with the espresso. I just love that one. All right, we're going to bring in our sentiment piece here, and I'm going to search for my sentiment, which should say much love. So I need to find my next stamp. Let me bring back in my Versamark and my little buddy here. We're going to just get this guy for powder. I really should find, I should find something. Let me find a little clothespin here. Okay, we're going to use the clothespin this time because this one's a much smaller paper and my fingers will get pretty warm. Here is my sentiment. It says much love in your new life together. But I didn't want to say much love in your new life together. I just want to say much love because much love is much broader in card giving, right? In your new life together is going to indicate that it's for a wedding. And maybe this one's an anniversary, or it's just I have a lot of love to share, right? So we are going to do some masking, and I have my painter's tape, my handy painter's tape here. And this is a really easy one to mask. In fact, I was looking at this stamp. This would be a really easy stamp to cut into 2 different pieces. If you really wanted to, you could have much love and you could have something separate that says in your new life together. There's enough space here that you could cut this apart and have 2 stamps. So I want you to think about that, but you don't have to. You can very easily, this is such an easy mask. So I'm just going to put the tape over top of the bottom part. The in your new life together is now taped, and I have much love showing. And I probably should get my powder ready too. So let's redo that. And I kind of like this combination of gold embossing powder on the gray granite. It's kind of a mixed metal effect, right? So I'm just getting on the Much Love, and now I'm going to remove, this is the most important step, remove the washi tape. Do not stamp with the washi tape on it. So I'm focusing on Much Love and putting it onto my cardstock and hoping that I have it in the middle and it's straight and all of the things that I want, you know, in perfection of stamping. And here it is. Actually, it worked out really well. This, surprisingly, like, right, this rectangle does not go with, obviously the sentiment is too big for this rectangle. But when I put this all together and put this on this rectangle, I thought, wow, it like works perfectly. All right, so now we're going to gold down this sentiment, or gold up, whichever way you think it needs to be. It is upside down. I realize that as you're watching it, so. But what fun scripty font. Much Love. It's very delicate. I love it. It's so nice. Okay, so here it is, Much Love. There's still a little bit of that powder left from my Emboss Buddy, but that rubs off pretty well. And there it is, just like that. And I am hoping that you're thinking, you can do this too. You guys are thinking, I can do that too. I can die cut this and center that guy right in the middle. Just like that. It's not too difficult. So there we go. That was our embossing for tonight. Let me move some more things aside. And we're going to finish the assembly of this beautiful card. So this was our piece here. It's pretty dry, I think. We're going to go ahead and glue this down onto the early espresso rectangle. Get this going. My glue is thinking about not working, and I'm pretty sure I have extra glue on the side here. We're going to be good. All right, I'm going to flip this over and just rub from the back so that I'm not rubbing my fingers all over the Very Vanilla, just in case, you know, my oils for my fingers, or if I have ink on my fingers. There's all kinds of ways you can ruin a beautiful piece of cardstock, right? Oh, you know what? I'm going to grab out a small smidgen of gray granite. I probably had it out earlier and then I probably tucked it away. Yes. So this is, I keep my scraps in case you're, I should probably do like a little thing on this. This is this photo sleeve, the 3-ring photo sleeve binders. I keep my scraps, if they're not full sizes, in these little handy pockets. And I wanted a scrap, and I'm going to show you my trick as we add our dimensionals here. I'm going to show you one of my favorite things to do to make sure that all of my layers are really even. So I am going to put dimensionals on this piece. And again, we're going to go with 5, 1 in each corner, 1 in the middle, just like that. And we'll put this down. And I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth on this card, doing all the little steps. These are not difficult steps for sure. Now the card kits you're going to get at home, you're going to get these embossed, or die cut, I should say they're die cut, rectangles. You'll get those. Of course, there'll be no stamping. So you're going to have everything right here that you see so far, minus this little image here. You can stamp something. You'll also get this nice little rectangle as well. And I'm looking to see, we are missing a die cut, so we need to die cut something here in this cherry, and I think this is the one that I use, this guy right here, this little one. So we're going to die cut him real quick, and then we're going to finish up this card. Again, this is not a super difficult card to make, which is really nice, because not all cards should be, I mean, card making should be pretty easy, and you should be able to do them without having to spend hours on just one card. All right, so here we go. I cut this guy out. Now earlier I mentioned I have thoughts on these dies. This is really cute. You could definitely use these as stencils too. So these are all, so here's what it looks like coming out, right? And if all of those little leaves stayed in there, it would be more leafy. These are all very open dies. I gotta try to pry this off of my machine here. So it's there, all of these are meant to come out, these little leaves will pop out, right, of all the middle pieces. So you're left with is just open piece, which is more difficult, again, to glue down. This would be really hard to glue down. This one's quite a bit smaller than some of the other ones we've already used even. So we are just going to layer them on and hold them down in one spot with the tape. So that's pretty much what we do with these. I kind of wish some of them had more coverage on them, but if you have a lot of leaves at home that do have like big broad patterns, then these are the perfect accompaniment to those. But in general, I find it more difficult to use these little guys. So I'm just using, again, some tear and tape, tucking him down here because I know that I'm going to be bringing my sentiment in, and my sentiment's going to cover the bottom of that. Probably would love to look at the card again, wouldn't you? There it is. Look at that. All right, so now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why I pulled out this little tiny scrap of gray granite, and all I need is just a pair of scissors here and a smidge of it. This is one of my favorite things to do. So this piece right here already has dimensionals on it, and if I put a single dimensional right over here where it's going to hit down here, it's going to be a little bit low because this is actually up 2 levels. This has the espresso and then it has the vanilla, and that's where this one lays. So it actually, if I added, let me make sure I got the right side here. If I add a little bit of glue here where it says love, and I put in light colored cardstock right here on the end, so you can't even see it, it blends right in, and then I put my dimensional on here, when I the dimensional on there, now I've got that extra layer of paper, and now it's going to be more even as it goes across because it's got the same height here as it does here. And I love adding those little pieces as needed, just so that it's not wobbly. I like when the dimensions are not wobbly on my card. We are, however, missing some beautiful ribbon, which is right here, and we're going to do our little swooshing pattern. I got to cut some of this. I think about 10 inches of this ribbon is pretty sufficient. This is the, it's called gold or gold. Let's see, satin edge ribbon. It's really pretty. It's got vanilla in it, so it's meant for this card. Now I'm going to do my little swoosh here, which kind of looks like a bow underneath the sentiment. And again, I'm using the tear and tape. Highly recommend the tear and tape. I'm going to come across here. So again, this is going to cover over with my sentiment. So you're always looking for that spot where you can hide things behind. And I'm going to use my spatula end of your pick tool, and I'm going to pull off that little backing on the tear and tape. I'm not going to pull this one off because it's really holding down this very delicate die, and if I pull this off, I have the chance of just kind of ripping this entire thing, and it's really not needed because we're just going to put our ribbon on here at an angle, and we're going to swoosh it around a little bit, up, down, and around, and we're catching it just like that. So it's all caught here across the middle of the tape, and then this is going to come across here just like that. So I'm going to take the adhesive off of my dimensional, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue here on this side because this is where it's going to hit this piece right here. I'm just going to make sure I'm getting that on there right about where I want it, and that it's straight and all of the good things. Now, because this is over top of ribbon and it's a little bit of glue, that may take a little bit to stick down there. The dimensional here on the paper will stick really, really nicely. And the last thing I'm adding to my card here is some brushed metallic dots. Now, I went with the gold. They do come in 3 colors, but I went with the gold because we've got a lot of nice gold on this card, right? So we're just going to put a few of these on here. These are fantastic. I love these so much, these metallic dots. And of course they're adhesive, so that makes it super easy to use as long as your pick tool is working appropriately. I used a spatula end on that one. So there's card number 2. Really pretty, right? Now again, you could definitely use the red paper on here. We've got just enough red here that the red paper would work as well if you didn't like the pine cone paper. But that's our card number 2, just like that. And now we're going to move into our last card. Now, I did not show you guys the last card yet. So you might be wondering, what are we doing? Now remember, earlier I said we are not making a single green card. There are no green cards today. So we've got navy, we've got like dark fall colors. So of course we have to go with something really fun, like purple. Check out the shine on this one too. This one's really awesome and a little bit different. This one has more, I think, going on than our first two cards. And these are all three of them. So you can kind of get an idea of all three of them, how different they really are. So I don't want you to look at them and think they're the same. They are totally not the same cards. We are different on all of them. We have a fresh freesia base, and we're doing rich raspberry with this. Now this fun paper right here is the Splendid Day designer paper. Now this comes in the suite. So as I was showing you the suite earlier, this is specialty paper. It's like blindingly fancy. So it's going to have all of the heavy foils. There's a lot of foils here, so it's super shiny. The backside's got some Sahara. It's got some soft sea foam. It's got some pool party. I think it has petal pink as well. Of course, we've got the fresh freesia on the back of the one that we're using today. So those are all of those fun papers. And we have a little bit of that in here as well. So let us start with embossing. This is the one that has some embossing on it. I did use the Fern 3D embossing folder because I thought, how awesome are the ferns with all of the ferns, right? They don't even go together. I mean, they're not like sold together, but I felt like it was a match made in heaven. It's ferns, right? So let's get this fern embossing folder set up in our machine here with our rich raspberry paper. Okay, so I've got my plate here, and this is the fern folder. This is one again that has the line at the bottom of it, so you can use it to line up your paper straight if that's your goal. Again, sometimes with the designs being all over like the ferns are, I'm not quite sure what the purpose of the line is on some of them, but I do like that they offer it. So this is just the base plate going through with plate number 4. And that takes care of our embossing with the folder. And look how cool. Now this might not be the first color you think of to use with this folder, but it is really fun. I love to use things that are a little bit different. And let's see, do we need to do anything? We're going to stamp and die cut that. We're going to die cut that. I'm just looking to see what else we need to do with our machine here before we get assembling. So let me bring in my scrap paper again. So we're going to do some stamping on this. And this one right here. So this is the one I did use earlier. I did use it in Night of Navy. This time we're going to be using it in Rich Raspberry. We're also going to be adding in some fresh freesia. So last time I did tone on tone, I did like the Night of Navy, and then I did the inside with stamped off Night of Navy. Make sure I'm doing this. Yep, I got this one right. Okay. This seemed like a really big piece for die cutting, so I had to just kind of double check to see if that's really what I wanted to do with that. I'm also going to bring in fresh freesia. So this is the lighter color purple. This is the same color as our card base. And again, I'm going to stamp off, and I'm just going to stamp over, so it gives you that effect. So this is really nice if you are a person that has a really hard time with two-step stamping. You can't line it up, it never works out right for you. This is your stamp set because you don't have to line it up. It's not meant to be. All right, let me move this aside. We're going to die cut these. Let me bring my plates all back in again. And let me move these little crumbs of cherry off of there so they don't do anything crazy. I gotta find the die, the outline. So there are a couple of stamps and dies that match, which is always nice. So we're just looking for the one that does match the outline of the purple. So we're not trying to outline the fresh freesia. We're trying to do the rich raspberry, and it may be a little bit confusing to look and see. Like, it seems odd, but that's what we're doing. We're lining up the raspberry, and I'm pretty sure I just moved that. We're doing that. We're going to die cut this. It's going to be fabulous. And all of the fresh freesia that was off to the side, it doesn't even matter. It's not even a thing. When we get all said and done, my little paper flipped up this way and I'm trying to reach over and grab it. So you're going to see that some of it's white, some of it has the fresh freesia, some of it has the outline. And even though my die cut is super crooked, I can see that as I'm looking at it, it's actually all okay. This is one of those where it's all okay. And it's great. It's if you're having a bad day, maybe things aren't working well in the craft room, you have one of those days where you're like, nothing is lining up. This is your set right here. You work with this and it really is all okay. It doesn't have to line up. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you're still gonna have a beautiful card at the end of it. Like, it's just beautiful. So again, these are the cutaway dies that are going to leave all of these beautiful things are going to come out as soon as I pick this up. All we have left is the outline. The outline is what we're working with, and all of these extra things. Now, if you were the kind of person that didn't mind gluing these back in, this is actually one that has the bigger petals. And I know there's people out there that do that. They will sit there and they will reattach maybe a different color on the inside. More patience than me, for sure. I mean, I love the effect. I get the idea, but I don't think I can do it. All right, so we're going to do a little stamping now. Let me bring in this piece of paper. Now, if you get this card kit at home, I just want to point this out to you. This piece of white for the front is designed to be 4 1/4 wide, the same width as our card base, but it's also 4 inches this way. So it's 4 by 4 1/4. So if you wanted to, you could use it like this on your paper, right? As you're going along, you could do it like this. But if you did, it's totally different from this. So I kind of went with a different kind of a scheme. So if you want to use it as 4 1/4, make sure you're stamping on it this way because it's going to fit the front of your card base. I'm going to set this down right now in the correct position, and we're actually going to do some stamping on the background here. So let me bring back in the rich razzleberry, and this time we're bringing in a stamp set sentiment that says, "Today is a day to remember." And this is one that I'm just going to stamp randomly in different order. And I'm just going to put it in a few spots, kind of just like that on one side. And then over here, I'm going to put it here. Now, a lot of this is going to get covered up. So there's like, really don't think too much about it. You don't have to try to get a full sentiment in here. You don't have to try if you're doing this at home and you have different sentiments. This is a way I just like to add words sometimes to the front of a card without having it be really a focal point. The next thing we're going to do is bring in our fresh freesia and this fun little petal stamp. Now this one appears like it would be the inside to this one. So again, it's fake two-step stamping. It's going to have the same effect as the other stamp. So if you stamp this, it's going to kind of fit a few of the petals, but not all of them. We're using it today with the fresh freesia, and I'm just going to stamp off, and I'm just going to put it on here in a few different spots along the sides. Rotate a little bit, maybe even for fun. I'm just trying to kind of get it on the sides. I'm not really worried about the rest. So this is just, whoops, this is just what it looks like, so you kind of have an idea. So it's just adding a little bit of fun. I love to do this with different stamps, and you can do this at home too if you're looking at different stamps in your set and you're like, wow, I have all these different things that I can use. Get creative with your sentiments and your backgrounds because it's fabulous. All right, let's celebrate is going to be our main focal sentiment here, and I'm going to do that one in rich razzleberry on just a small scrap here. So I feel like this is a rougher cut side. We're going to turn it over. We're going to go with this one. Let's celebrate. That looks pretty good. And I'm just going to cut this at a nice little angle, not with my ribbon scissors. Okay, we're going to use this one right here. I love to just do like a little wedge there. It's just so easy. You don't have to think about it too much. It looks beautiful. Now, before we put this down on our card base, we're going to add some of this really fun ribbon. This is metallic mesh. Of course it is. Look at it, so cool. It's really great for Halloween and Christmas because it's just really cool. I don't use this a lot, but I got this out today and I'm like, why am I not using this? This is fun. Now I'm just going to cut this a little bit longer than my paper here, and I'm going to actually wrap it on the back side. So again, I'm going to bring in tear and tape as soon as I locate it. Here it is. So I'm just gonna pull this over here, and because this is like so meshy, and that's my word, meshy, right? So it's catching all the little fibers in between there, and it's just actually a little bit easier to lay down than you would think. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Just gonna kind of push this over here. Of course, I'm gonna get some tape first. Push this over here. This is where you need extra hands in the craft room. Have somebody come and hold this for you, but it can be done. Okay, so I'm just adding a little bit of tear and tape on each side. Now, of course, it's poofy in the middle, but that's okay. So you can kind of see the poofy in the middle, because we're going to cover it up with so many different things that it's not even going to be a problem or an issue. So this, like I said earlier, goes on our card front, and it fits fully side to side. So I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive here all around. I feel like my glue has been setting up quite quickly tonight, and I don't know why. I'm trying to craft as quick as I can. Now, I'm certainly not going to take the tear and tape off the back of that, because that's just going to be like just too crazy. We would probably want to put this right side up. That would be highly recommended, right side up. And on she goes. So I'm just fitting this right across the front, side to side. Actually, I'm going to flip this over, give it a little rub on the back here, and there it is. How cool is that? This is just kind of a different layout. It's not the same old, so I wanted to try something just a little bit different. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this down at an angle. So I'm hoping this doesn't upset you, because I know some people are like, it has to be straight, and you could do it straight. If you're gonna do it straight, you might want to do you know, one side or the other, but this is going down a little bit crooked. This is one of those stamp sets and one of those days, right? If you're having a Monday, it could be a little bit crooked. It fits here just so nicely, and that's that great fern embossed piece. And you'll get the embossed piece in your card kit, so you'll get that as well. Again, there's no stamping, so you will get a die cut that looks like this. You could certainly sponge it or color it in, and you'll get your other die cuts here as well. But before we put that down, we're missing our fun shiny paper. Now this is beautiful on either side. It would go on our card just the same, but of course the shiny part is the best. So we're going to put the glue on this side. And again, this is going to fit right across here, just like so, 3 inches wide, before we get fancy with our die cuts here. So this first die cut, just like always, is going down with a little bit of tear and tape right across the bottom there. Now this one happens to fly up a little bit more, but this guy's going to come over here and he's going to help hold him down, because this one is a little bit bigger. So we're going to take care of that, but we are going to be tricky and we're going to use dimensionals on this one. So let's see if I can find just the right amount here. And I used a couple of big ones on the bigger sections. And then I pulled in my little ones, because then I'm like, wow, some of this fern is like smaller. So I'm actually going to do a few smaller ones as the leaves get smaller here at the top. So I highly recommend have the big and the small dimensionals. Now, of course, you can cut the big ones to make them small, but how handy is it to just grab the small ones and go? Like, you don't have to do that extra step if you've got both. So I find that both are super useful. So we're going to grab off all of these little backings. And now this guy's going to go down here, right about so. And I like that he's just he comes off a little bit. So see, he's not fully on this raspberry. He's a little bit freer to move around. And then this part right here helps to hold down this background, which you just see. It's tone on tone, but it is definitely noticeable. And then we got this guy here that says, let's celebrate. Now, of course, you can still see my tear and tape behind here. So we're going to cover up. We always have to cover up with our sentiment. And the sentiment needs a dimensional on one side. So we'll put that on there. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glue right about here. And I'm actually going to put the glue on the stem here rather than on the sentiment, because I'm not really sure where it's going to hit. So if I put glue here, it might get gloppy and be in the wrong spot. But if I put glue on my die cut, I know when I put this over top, wherever that lands is perfect. So we've got the dimensional again on the one side, and we've got the glue on the other side that's holding it up beautifully. Look at how awesome that is. Let's celebrate indeed. Now this time, when I brought in some bling, I'm bringing in the rhinestones, which I always keep all of my embellishments in the DVD cases because it's just super easy to grab them out like that. And this is just like a partial rhinestone, but they are the rhinestones. So these guys are, of course, silver, and they're picking up my beautiful silver thread today. And I was trying to see where I want to put these guys again. So we're going to put a couple down here, and we're going to put one up here. Fantastic, right? Just like that. 1, 2, 3. So there is our Let's Celebrate card in purple. Like, how fancy is that, right? Again, not a green card. None of these cards were green today. So let me bring them all back in here real quick so you can kind of take another peek at them. So we have the purple card. We have the pine cone card. I almost said pineapple card. And we have the blue card. So these are the cards from this card class. And if you are interested in getting these card kits at home, you'll get one of each. And with your $35 order using host code BPR9P77S, you will get one of each of these card kits. If you spend over $50, you will also get a gift from me, and that will be included in your kit as well. So there we have it. Card kit today. I love it. So that was just under an hour, which is awesome. I try to move it along as quickly as I can, and I'm just looking at comments real quick, see what I can see here. Hi, Debbie. Glad you tuned in tonight. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. Okay. Da-da-da-da. Oh yeah, I know, technical things, right? So sometimes that technical stuff is crazy. Hi, Lori. All right, awesome. So thank you guys for checking it out. I'll read your messages later. I'm not going to sit here and read your messages while we're chit-chatting. So that was my class tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. This class was not obviously a Christmas class, and I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between Christmas card classes and regular classes because I realize not everyone is doing their own handmade Christmas cards. Maybe your Christmas cards are done and you're like, what else can I do? And so I like to change it up a little bit. So like every other week right now, I'm doing a Christmas class, and then I'm going to regular class. So if there's anything in the bundles that you're like, man, I wish you would do a class on XYZ, just shoot me a message, let me know what you'd like to see, because I'm always open for ideas, and you know, of course, that I like to play with color. So I hope you enjoyed my non-traditional fern color cards. Of course, on Wednesday, Positive Paper Crafters, one of these cards will be a color swap card. So I will do the entire design exactly the same, but different colors. So you get to vote on which color you like better. So that's it for me. Make sure you get your orders in. You've got all the way through next Sunday evening if you want this card kit class with a $35 order. If you have questions, let me know. I would be glad to answer those for you. And until next time, stay inspired, create something beautiful, and share the love. Bye, everybody.